All right, we are live. Welcome, 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 friends. Danny Moon Dudley here with my daughter Charlie, and we've got Darla Mersman and her daughter Alyssa on here today, and we are going to have an amazing chat about recovering from mental health crisis. We're going to talk about some challenges. We're going to talk about some gifts that can be found. We're going to talk about the struggle as a whole, because it affects not just the person going through it, it affects everybody in the family. And we're going to give you guys some tools, tips, skills, and resources to help in your own recovery or the recovery of a loved one. And we're going to be focused on Darla today because she has an amazing story of hope and inspiration and help. And again, tools, tips, skills, and resources. So Darla, we're going to give it 1 minute to let a few more people come on, and we're going to see if we can see comments. Viewers, I see that you guys are on. If you guys could comment to let me know that you're here.
Comment should pop up right there.
Oh, should they?
Comment. There we
Oh, there's Daphne. Hey, Daphne. She's joining us. Hi, ladies.
Oh, here we go.
Thanks for joining. All right, guys, we have got some people on here. I'm so super excited about starting this conversation. You guys, when it comes to mental health, people just aren't having the compassionate conversations. And when you struggle with mental health challenges because nobody's talking about it, it can be very, very difficult to recover in a healthy way. We have to start the conversation. We have to start this conversation. What else do we have on here? Loving the mother-daughter stuff. Hey.
Yes, Mother's Day, and I flew out to Dallas to spend Mother's Day with my beautiful daughter.
So happy about that.
When did you get there? When did you get there?
I came in on last Thursday.
Oh, how fun. What did you guys do yesterday?
So many things.
Quite a lot. Go ahead.
Yeah,
share.
we had brunch in the morning, and we went and had massages, and we went and had a very nice dinner, and I got flowers, I got balloons, I got so many beautiful things. Yes.
How about you? Like an amazing day. I slept all day long on Mother's Day. I did not do it. For me to sleep in the middle of the day is like unheard of. So that's what I did. And Charlie made this beautiful bracelet for me out of blue lava rock and put some good health intentions on it. So I will be wearing this sucker every single day. I went to my mother-in-law's on Saturday. We had a lovely day with her. Of course, sent my own mother happy Mother's Day. Things are cranking along there. You know, my own mother and I have had some challenges because of my mental health challenges. But I will say this, in the past year, she's really come around to try to understand the struggle. She's actually done some research on BPD. And guys, I will tell you, if you're the loved one of somebody who struggles with mental health challenges, education is absolutely key. It's going to be really hard for you to support them if you're not educated on what it is that's actually happening with and inside of them. So, man, props to her. In the past year, she's made huge strides in trying to understand how I function, how I think, what the struggle is. You know, Darla, don't
Depends on how you connect with someone, when you can understand and empathize on what's kind of going on, because if you don't do any research, then you're just walking around lost trying to understand.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Darla, I'm going to turn it over to you. Do you want to tell us a little bit about your story, about who you are, about your story, about how you ended up here with me today?
I would love to. Yeah. So my story is that I started out as a psychotherapist. So I was in the mental health profession for almost 20 years. I worked in private practice for 10 years, and then I went to work in the military. And I served our military active duty. I served in all the branches with the active service members. And so what happened with me was, and I was in Germany working at the time at the Air Force Base, and I developed severe complex PTSD with psychosis from my work. So the trauma of working with traumatic events all day, every day in and out. It triggered the trauma inside of me. And then I became the patient very quickly. I was in the mental hospital. I was broke down. I was completely psychotic, manic. Yeah.
And the spiral happens fast, doesn't it? The spiral happens so fast when
It was,
in psychosis.
yeah, it was so fast. There were glimpses of it before as I've been writing and untangling everything, because with all of the mania and the psychosis, it's such a conglomerate of information that it took me a couple of years to start detangling everything that had gone on in my mind. And I was able to look back and go, oh, I was having delusions about witches a couple weeks before. But it's in the moment when I'm going through it, I don't realize that it is a delusion. Like,
Yes.
I think that those vampires over there are real.
Yes.
And they become part of my reality. And I don't always talk out loud about them, but then I react and act in a certain way as though there were whatever delusion I was having, that they were around me. So I wasn't able to differentiate reality from delusion.
Right.
Yeah.
I had a conversation with Mom talking about my own bout with psychosis, and one of the things that I thought somebody had come in and poisoned my coconut oil, and I could articulate to her, I know that doesn't sound logical, but I believed that. I believed it to the core of my being.
Absolutely.
that this horrible thing was happening. And it feels so real. And you bring up an excellent point, Darla, in that mental health crisis is so unique to each individual struggling with it. And the sad thing is because we're not talking about it like you and I talk about it, right? We get to talk about our experiences, but because nobody is having the conversation about it, it's even harder to and I don't want to use the word normalize because I hate the word normal, but it's hard to share your experience. Articulate. Thank you, darling. It's hard to articulate your experience because nobody is talking about it. But mental health crisis, I believe, and I know we've had this conversation, is so individualized and so unique to each individual. It's like no two experiences with it are the same. Do you agree?
I completely 100% agree. And I can kind of speak to that from both sides of it. You know, having treated thousands upon thousands of patients over the years, I can tell you that no one person has the same exact symptoms as another person, or experience or anything else. And then from going through my first psychotic break was 14, 15 months long. And one of the things, this is so interesting, I remember, my first breakdown was in 2016. And so towards the end of the year, Donald Trump had become president. And so I had a lot of delusions, really scary delusions about Donald Trump. And I remember hearing on the news that people from all over the country were checking into mental hospitals saying that Donald Trump was the Antichrist. And that was do you remember that? And that was one of my delusions. And I was like, oh, there's other people out there experiencing similar things as I am. So there's similarities that can happen, but the individuality of every single moment of a mental health crisis is absolutely individual to that person. There are no two people alike. There are no
two experiences are alike.
No,
right.
Not at all. Right.
And our traumas are also different. So of course our experiences in the crisis situation are going to be so unique. Facebook users, some of you, hi Kim, hi Daphne, Daphne, to sleep. Hi, Shannon. Hi, Athena. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Facebook user says, when I'm in a manic stage, I gamble a lot and I go into my depression stage because I beat myself up for throwing all my money away. It's horrible. Let's talk about the nasty. Yes.
I'm not
the nasty inner critic that comes into play, because the guilt, there's no outlet, there's no normalizing it, nobody's talking about it, and you feel so guilty. I parented out of guilt for a while in my recovery. This one got to do a lot more than she probably should have, because I was parenting out of guilt. I felt so horrible. So then it feeds itself. It's this nasty, nasty cycle that's really hard to get out of without a great support structure. Now, I will say this. I was so blessed, and Darla, I think you were too. You have such a phenomenal support structure underneath you. Can you speak to how important a support structure is in recovery from mental health crisis?
Wow. I wouldn't be here, and I wouldn't be alive without it. I would not be alive without it for so many different reasons. From the very beginning, like I said, I was working in Germany when my crisis happened, and my sister had to emergency fly out to Germany, find me. I was lost because I had destroyed all my technology and went off the radar, and nobody really knew where I was in Germany. So,
how scary is that for your family?
Else. For a certain period of time, she also believed that she was somewhere else. So we were also trying to figure out what country she was in.
Yep.
Much less, but it was very, very next level. Luckily, there is so many people that were connected to her, and it spoke to her on such a regular basis that when we were able to speak to her, we're like, wait, we know that background. And that's kind of how it was. It was very much.
You had to piece it together. You had to put the pieces.
Yeah.
How scary was that for you? That was terrifying for you. I'm sure.
Absolutely terrifying. It's interesting because my aunts and I have talked a lot about this, but there's several stages where you almost go through a mourning process just because you have to prepare yourself for whatever comes next, because there is no control. The idea of control in this type of scenario is just a farce, and it's almost laughable because any sense of having any type of control or security in that situation is just non-existent. You have to just kind of figure out what works for every single person involved and go from there.
Yeah.
And I was so lucky. I had support from all over the world because I had worked all over the world and had traveled. People came together and they supported me and they supported my family, and they put together Facebook groups privately so that everybody had a place to talk and communicate. They did, a GoFundMe where they raised so much money to make sure that my family had plane tickets to get me, and we taken care of. I mean, the support, thank you, Charlie. The support was huge.
Overwhelming.
Yeah. And it was critical. I mean, I honestly wouldn't be alive today without the support.
Right.
Yeah.
And I want people to know that if right now you're in a place where you feel like you don't have that, you can manifest that, you can create that, but you've got to reach out for the help. The help is available, but you've got to reach out for the help. You can find it, social media can be a bad thing, but oh my gosh, there's so many great connections can come through social media. But you've got to reach out for the help, which means you've got to be willing to say, I need the help. You've got to be willing to share pieces of your story. Facebook user says connection. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think that also goes into the people around them as well. If you don't know what first steps to take, reach out to other people who've gone through similar scenarios, because we had absolutely no idea what the first steps were to take, but we had enough people around us with suggestions willing to help. As long as you say, hey, I don't even know where to start.
Right.
That's the start.
Right. That's it. That's the answer.
That's your start.
Right? I don't know. I don't have the answers, but I know I need more than this. Charlie, for you, what was the most challenging part about the psychosis, the breakdown? What do you feel was the most challenging part for you?
Well, you had mentioned that there's almost a mourning process that you have to go to when dealing with someone, especially a parent who has a mental illness. Another thing is the fear of what you're going to find. There'd be days when I'd come home and I wouldn't know who I was going to come home to.
Yeah.
Whether it be my mother or almost a shell of my mother. And that's pretty scary. And having to be a parent to your parent is quite hard, especially being so young. And it was scary.
Yeah.
And also you had mentioned that you hallucinations or whatnot about like vampires and stuff. My mother gets those too. At one point I'd come home from school and she was putting all the electronics in the towel closet because they couldn't reach us there.
Took everything apart.
The smoke alarms,
and here's
batteries.
Charlie with me taking everything apart. You know, and as a parent, you're not there to parent because you're there physically, but you are not there. And
you're gone.
Right. Coming to terms with the fact that your child had to not only parent herself, but parent you through these moments is a tough realization. It's tough again, and that's where that inner critic comes in, and you have the guilt parenting comes in. Well, that's way too fun for you.
And I don't know if Charlie can relate to this on the same level, but for me, I know that there probably is a lot of guilt that she feels, but for me, I'm able to dissociate between her and her manic state because honestly, when I saw her in her manic state, I was not looking at my mother. I did not recognize.
She's not there.
You don't recognize. It's a completely different person that you're looking at. And so it's honestly very easy to dissociate those two different people because from a daughter standpoint, when you're looking at that person, I don't recognize them. That's not my mom.
Your mom. Yeah.
Person. Yeah. And my mom's been through several phases of who she is as a person. And I still was able to be like, I don't see her in there. I don't see her in there right now. She's not in there right now. She's somewhere else.
My whole face would change. My eyes would change.
Your voice.
My voice would change. I mean, I was literally another person. Darla, in your recovery, what has been the biggest challenge that you faced in your recovery? And I'll go ahead and tell you mine is that it's taken so long. It's taken way longer than I thought. and money. It's taken a lot of time and a lot of dollars.
And a lot of dedication.
Yes. Daily work.
All day, every day.
With the way that I am built, I cannot relent on my daily self-care practices. No. It's not negotiable. It's not an option. Right?
Yeah, because you get to a point where you can't even function if you don't. Like there's just no way it can happen.
Yeah.
The spiral will happen fast.
Yeah.
So Danny, what was your question again? The hardest, most challenging thing. Yeah.
In the recovery process, what has been one of the biggest challenges?
The very biggest challenge of all of it, including the recovery process, has been dealing with the embarrassment and the shame and the guilt of who I was when I was psychotic, the things that I did, the things that I thought, every part of who I was so embarrassed about. I couldn't show my face to the world.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because
I cut off and dyed my hair thinking people wouldn't recognize me. Like seriously, I was that embarrassed. Like they're not gonna know who I am in town if I cut off and dye my hair. And you mentioned the word shame. Shame is one of the heaviest vibrations that we carry.
So
and because of all of the stigma that surrounds all of this, the shame is a heavy load. It took me about 2 years before I stayed in a bubble because I was so embarrassed.
Same here. And it took me 2 years it took me 2 more years to get out of that.
Yeah.
Be able to come and speak publicly. I mean, it took me a lot of work, a lot of care from other people, and just being able to learn how to talk about it in safe small groups, in safe small places. Yeah, yeah. And, you know, I had residue of the delusions. So it was really hard for me to continue to journal because I was always afraid, you know, somebody was going to find my journals and they were going to know what I knew. And then they were going to torture me and kill me. And, you know, I just had constant compound trauma from the trauma.
Right, right. And then there is that fear. And again, you know, practicing spiritually, there's always that fear of, wait, am I crossing over into psychosis or is this my spiritual work? And that's why, again, the daily practice of grounding is so pivotal and so important, because it's a very, very fine line. When I work with people, in spiritually minded work, we got to make sure that they are massively stabilized in recovery, super grounded. But yeah, that fear of, gosh, is this going to happen again? Am I going to lose it again? But boy, I'll tell you, Darla, it makes you do your work.
It makes you do your work. I do it every day because I am terrified that I'll go back in. I told my psychologist I can never, ever go through another psychosis again. I cannot do it. Will I have to? I might, because I don't know. I don't know. You know, I thought I was better before, and then I had another breakdown, and, you know, I'm committed.
I had an interesting moment. Last month, it was about a month and a half ago, I had 2.5 years of very consistent stability. And then I hit a hypomanic phase, and it made me realize, Darla, part of me actually thought that I wasn't going to have to deal with it anymore. Like, I was thinking, I'm good, right? This is how I'm going to go.
Yeah.
And then there creeps in that mania, and I had to up my therapy sessions. I had to up my time with my psychiatrist. We had to adjust my meds because I adhere to, of course, Western medicine as well as Eastern philosophy.
Yes.
I do my crystal healing, I do my sound tools, but I also am diligent about taking my meds. But it made me realize there was a part of me that was actually thinking, I'm done. I'm not going to have to do that again. And I remember I called everybody and I let everybody know, articulated to them what was happening. This is going on. And I remember Chad was like, Mom, you have mental illness. This is happening, right?
Oh, good for you.
Yes.
Charlie.
Yes. You have mental illness.
You knew in your good wisdom that, you know, Mom's going to have to do this for the life.
Yeah. For the life. And that was something that was hard to absorb. It was hard to absorb that this is the new normal.
Well, because it's part of who you are.
Right.
Like, it's not good, but it's what makes you you.
Well, let's talk about that. What makes us. Darla, I have managed to, in the past 5 years, find some positive traits to what it is that I struggle with, and find some inherent gifts in it. You know, the self-awareness that I have now is, you know, phenomenal. The self-love that I have now through all the work that I've done. I mean, I really dig on myself as a person. The world changes when you start digging on yourself as a human being. What have been some of the positive things that have come out of this? Because we can find them if we look for them.
Yeah. And that can be really tough for me, because it was such a bad 5 years. But what I know is I have been so surrounded by love and compassion and support. You know, interestingly, you were talking about all of the different healing modalities, and I was doing that during my psychosis as well. I was, you know, working with shaman. I was working with energetic healers. I was using my crystals, my essential oils, and I was having, because of my expansive mind, I was having all of these really beautiful delusions too, where I would see fairies and I would see glitter everywhere, and, you know, things were magical. And, you know, the other work that I've done is, you know, what are the things that I miss about being in that state? Because there are some good qualities there. I miss all the energy I have.
The mania can be productive.
It can be productive and fun.
She can get some things done.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Our house got remodeled so many times. Like it's the entire reason our cabinets are painted right now.
It's time to repaint.
New house, who does?
New house, new look, and everything. Yes, I do. I do miss the high activity of the hypermania, because I got
The constant motivation.
yes, I got so much done, but at the end of that is always burnout and exhaustion. Always, always, always. At the end of it,
and
always burnout.
for me, it turns into a big disastrous mess, because all of a sudden I'm going to paint 10 paintings, and I do. And then the paints are everywhere, and there's disasters everywhere. And, you know, and it goes like that. But then there is the slippery slope with the mania for me, because mania turns into psychosis for me real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So I don't miss it that much.
Right. The spiral, the really quick spiral. Yeah.
And I've paraphrased it before as going from an orange state to a red state, because she has different levels of where she's at in that moment. And I go from yellow, because that's her original aura to me, is a yellow. And then it changes from orange. And that's when she starts to get into that manic state, busy, her mind is very busy, but it's still aware. And then red state is when she's full blown in her psychosis and is
almost more person almost.
Yeah, it's a different whole nother level of person with a different level of expressions, very different emotions.
Different mannerisms almost even.
Yeah. Yeah. And honestly,
oh yeah, I'm sassy and smart assed and confrontational, and I'm all kinds of things when I'm manic and psychotic.
Yeah, I almost at first felt like it was all the things that she didn't want to show the world she had underneath, like the anger, the aggression, the attitude, but there was also some good self-reflection in there for her too, you know, because the world is tougher on you. So you don't always get the chance to say, screw you, world. And I felt like that gave her a safe space to really do it.
Right.
She felt like she needed some of that, even to just say that.
Right.
Get some of those feelings and expressions out there, because I don't think she fully expressed herself in those manners before her.
Because it bubbles up and it stays inside, because it's hard to express that stuff. And then it all comes out all at once.
Yes. Yes, exactly.
And we have to now, one of our coping mechanisms is called the red zone. What does Daphne say? This world is fucking tough. Yes, Daphne.
Yeah.
I agree.
No shit.
Absolutely.
That's it. We're
no doubt.
Fucking tough. That's what we can.
It is.
Say. Daphne says, I feel like I'm walking that line. I've never gone over into mania. Facebook user says fibromyalgia. My brain gets manic, but my body can't keep up. Fibromyalgia is so difficult. Chronic pain is so difficult. I have a dear friend that lives with chronic pain, and we have very similar conversations. I think our journeys are very similar. Daphne says, women in the past, they locked us up or put us on heavy meds and zoned us out. Yes, institutionalized. Yeah, institutionalized.
Well, I think some of it needs to be filtered out. It doesn't need to be suppressed sometimes. Some of what is coming out needs to be said. It needs to
out in the open. There needs to be
there needs to be
communication
space for it to happen too. There needs to be a non-judgment safe space to where you can say exactly how you're feeling and put that out there without any repercussions.
Because you're right, it is energy. It's energy that's stuck and it gets blocked, and it's going to be released some way,
one way or another.
Yeah,
that's the one thing we determined very quickly is all this energy. And one of my personal philosophies is a lot of this, aside from biology, has to do with energy. We have these small containers and big energy. So the energy needs somewhere to go. So you're right, a place to safely express that you're feeling that way. Even a simple, how's your day today? Well, you know what? It's really not going great. Why can't we talk real? Right?
Yeah.
Instead of the blanket small talk, oh, it's great. Well, you know what? My day's not great today. I'm a little off.
Pretty
today,
shitty.
right? It's okay. I mean, we've
Yeah.
gotten so closed that we don't even clearly articulate and express our emotions. Amen to that, Lisa Schneider
And
says.
we get to a point where, like, as a society, if you bring stigma upon going and seeing a therapist as if there's something wrong, no wonder everybody feels the guilt and the shame when they actually go through psychosis, because society's already put that stigma out there. Like, I've done a lot of work with my brother more recently saying, hey, we need to commonize going to therapy, talking about our feelings,
Normalize it.
out there. It needs to be more normalized. This needs to be an everyday thing. This needs to be something that we're all doing, because mental health, whether you've gone through a mental breakdown or not, is your most important thing.
Priority. 100%.
Your brain
Yeah.
is not going to, your brain decides for you. And if you're not going to take care of your brain, why are you taking care of the rest of your body at all?
Good brain's most important part. If that's not
Yeah,
going
it
right,
controls everything.
nothing. Yeah.
Yeah, normalizing taking care of yourself, your energy, your space, your
And then
brain.
everything else will follow.
Yeah, that needs to be a priority for everyone, not just people who've had a breakdown, because that's how breakdowns happen.
Yeah.
You know, is by not protecting yourself and your space and taking care of you and what you actually need in that moment.
It's definitely one way that breakdowns happen, for sure.
Mhm.
And one thing I want to say that I think is really important is that, you know, my team.
All right, we're back. Hang on.
Oh.
Okay, hey guys, we can't hear you. Can you
can't hear us?
Okay.
I'll be right back.
You
You fix that.
All right, I'll fix this. All right, say something.
Can you hear us?
Oh no, I can't hear you. What happened?
What if we hit mute? And
Your
then
mic is unmuted.
What about now? Can you hear us better now?
Shoot.
Uh-oh.
All right, guys, I'm having trouble hearing you. No. Testing 1, 2, 3. Say something.
Hello.
I still can't hear you.
No.
Hang on. More. Not sure what happened. We can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, maybe she'll just have to let us back in, and that'll be.
And right when I was gonna talk about what I want to talk about,
I
it's
know,
like,
girl,
okay.
you were getting into it.
Now. Oh, there you are. Yay!
Wonderful.
Yay! And we're back. Yeah, I loved your word, commonize. Make it common. Make it commonplace. I saw something the other day that said we should talk about going to therapy like we do the gym. Oh, I went to therapy today, because it's just what we do. It's just a normal part of what I do. We talk so little about the human brain.
Mm-hmm.
Yet it is one of the most important parts about us in terms of
powerful.
Yes. And we talk so little about it. And there is so much new science. We have learned more about the human brain in the past 5 to 10 years than we have the past 500. And nobody's talking about that. Nobody's talking about the biology, right? I mean, do you find that, Darla, that
Yeah. There's not as many conversations going on about that as I think there could be. And I think it's super important that we talk about it and begin to understand the dynamics of the brain and the way that we handle stress, because it seems like we're living in a more stressful time. And people are breaking down more.
Yeah.
And having a hard time more. And one of the things that I really wanted to say that to people is, you know, my team and my community is not just about my friends and my family. My team also consists of a psychiatrist, a psychologist, a psychiatric nurse. My primary care physician has had to take me to them, you know, get me to the emergency room. Those people are part of my team every single day too.
Yes. And I love your word team, and they are a team. And again, you know, same here. I've got my psychiatrist. I've got my therapist. I've got my therapist for highly sensitive people. I've got, again, my primary care physician, all my other physicians for all my other health stuff. It really is a team. You know, the first time I was introduced to that concept was in inpatient rehab, and I had a team of 5 of the most brilliant women, and we get different things from each of them. So it's pivotal that if you are struggling with mental health challenges, to start creating that for yourself. And again, it starts by reaching out and going, I don't know where to start, but I know I need help because I want to feel better. You guys, it is possible to feel better. I promise you that. It is possible to find meaning in life. You know, Darla, I think that was one of the scariest parts about my own mental health challenges is the emptiness and the lack of meaning that you find that it exists in this life.
Yes, I lost my entire career that I was completely compassionate about. Passionate, you know, I lost it. I had nothing left in my mind. One of the things I wanted to address real quick is Daphne said many people can't afford. And
she also said it's also reflected on how we take care of the poorest of society and look at the wealthy.
Yeah. So as far as affording it, I lost everything. I lost my job. I lost everything. I have never had to pay for a penny out of pocket for my mental health services. And that means anywhere I've been. And I've broken down in a lot of different cities and states. And everywhere I go, I've never seen a bill for a mental health service or a pill or anything.
And Darla, do you have advice for people? Do you have advice for people in terms of resources? Where's a good place for them to start? Where's a good starting point?
Your mental health clinic. Absolutely. I mean, you know, they want to do the right thing and check in with them, and
they're there to help you.
They are there to help you. And, you know, if you're in a bad space, they get it and they'll get you in where you need to be. You know, not everybody has great mental health services available, but even when I was at my poorest in Los Angeles, I still, you know, I went to the free clinics and they provided me great treatment.
And Darla, you've brought up a good point several times. We had to start completely over, like lost everything. So for those of you struggling, if you are just starting over, again, it is possible to get through this and start over with nothing and get to a place of peace and love and joy and finding meaning in life. So no matter where you're at,
sometimes that's meant to happen. Like you're meant to start over, because if you hadn't started over, you wouldn't be where you are now.
That's right. That's one of the gifts. Yes, that's Charlie.
Gifts. Yes, that's one of the gifts. Well, girls, I have a question for you. What advice do you guys have? Do each of you have as being the loved one of somebody who struggles with mental health? Can you speak to other people who are the loved ones of, you know, say moms who struggle with mental health? What advice do you have for them? What advice do you have for them?
I would say my first piece of advice is whatever your loved one is struggling through, get as much educated as you can and find a good support person, someone that is a safe space for you to talk to about anything and everything. Even if it sounds completely out there, this person needs to be your safe space where you can go and vent.
An outlet.
You need a good outlet. You know, I spent a lot of time trying to do the gym, and I found that the most helpful thing for me was my best friend and my family, and just talking to them about some of the things that I was experiencing and that I was feeling going through, because most people don't want to talk about the ugly things that you feel inside that you don't want to say out loud, like, I didn't recognize my mother and this made me feel some type of way. Those are things that you don't want to say out loud. You need to have a good person that you can actually be with, that you can be 100% authentic with, because that's
it's hard to talk to your mom about, you know, your mom.
Well, you don't want to already put more shame than they already feel on it. And that's what it feels like, is I don't want to make them feel more shameful about what they've already went through. So I want to be able to express this in a way that doesn't put that out there, because that's not what it is. You know, and I think that that's a really important thing, is get educated on what you're about to deal with so that you can be in a loving and safe space for them, and then find yourself your own loving, safe space.
Safe spaces are so important. Charlie, what about you? What advice do you have to the loved ones of people who are struggling with mental health challenges, especially daughters and moms? You know, we went through
a lot.
We went through some years of hell. It was really tough for a little while, but we kept working. We were both in therapy. We went to family therapy. We went to group therapy. We did our due diligence, and now we are the best of friends. But guys, It was no easy road to get here. There were some rough years in there. What advice do you have for people, the loved ones?
The hardest part for me throughout the entire process of getting to this point was understanding. To get really high highs and really low lows, and before we knew that she had a mental illness, I just thought that was my mom. Like that was just her. And I was very young, so it was hard to understand everything that was going on in her head. Same thing, get educated, learn, and just understand. Like when I'd come home and mom would be like, okay, computers, they go in the closet, they have to. I'd be like, okay, they go in the closet, let's go.
Great, let's round them up.
Taking computers apart with me.
I busted them with hammers. I made my mom bust hers with a hammer.
Get the hammer out. Let's destroy this stuff.
Destroy the evil electronics. They're tracking me. They're all tracking me. I was pulling fire alarms down, checking to make sure there was nothing in there. So yeah, you bring up a good point. Support structure for us is crucial, but man, a support structure for you guys, you have to have an outlet of expression. It's a lot to hold. I will say that, those of you who are helping support people who struggle with mental health challenges, I get it. It's a lot to hold. Make sure you're doing your own self-care too. Your own self-care is absolutely crucial in the process.
And you'll be known at how many people, when you decide to open up, are going through the same things. When my mom was going through her breakdown and my best friend Destiny was my safe space, she learned very quickly that her mom might also have a mental health disorder. She was going through a lot of the similar same things. She was associating it with different things, so she didn't recognize it as a mental health disorder. And then all of a sudden she's like, wait a minute, this
sounds a little familiar.
Different attention to it. Maybe we're addressing it in the wrong way. So even just the conversation, even just opening up with people and having that safe space creates a huge space for other people that you would never even know needed it.
It's a conversation.
Yeah.
It's a conversation. I mean, if we are allowed to talk about our experiences, my friends, this is just simply how we showed up to experience the world. It's simply an experience.
No refunds.
You get no refund, honey. She keeps telling me she wants a refund on this. I'm like, I'm sorry, kiddo. There's no refund on this.
No refunds, exchanges. It is what it is.
This is it. Lisa Schneider says, thank you for allowing us to witness. Thank you for witnessing us today, Lisa Schneider, and support you today.
Thank you.
Thank you for seeing us.
Yes, thank you for seeing us. Thank you for hearing us, and thank you for allowing us to come and make this more common to speak about.
And the stigma.
There's no shame in being built differently and showing up in the world in a different experience. And
feeling at a greater level.
Yes, feeling at a greater level is a great way to put it.
It is. Oh boy, is it?
It's big. It's big. Emotions are big. Yes, yes.
And I noticed that when we talk about it, our connection is bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your bond is deeper.
Yeah.
I mean,
just support system.
Just having conversations with you two, I just feel so connected to both of you now.
Yeah.
Just conversating and meeting you and getting to know your story as well. I mean, it's just beautiful.
Yeah.
Best
believe
you're not alone. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
You can feel isolated and feel very alone. Shame will make you feel very, very lonely. Shame will make you feel very, very lonely. And just giving voice to it stops that shame. It actually raises the vibration. So just giving voice to the stories. We have to be out here telling our stories. Well, Darla, let me ask you, what advice do you have to people that are newly diagnosed or new in recovery and thinking, and remember when you get the diagnosis, whoo, that's heavy. And then you're trying to get better. Ooh, that's a heavy time. What advice do you have for people that may be in the beginning of their journey?
Yeah. So I think the most important thing is to get mental health treatment right away. So that you can get stabilized.
Yes.
And then safety planning becomes paramount. You know, I have my diagnosis tattooed on my arm, and I've had to use it so that they take me to the hospital and not to jail. I have emergency contact list kept in my purse. I have everything set up with my family. We have power of attorney so that if I try to get myself out of the mental hospital, which I'm really good at as a psychotherapist,
She's a smart cookie when she's going
I get out of there.
She's so damn smart. She's like, I'm good.
Yep.
What's the problem?
Of course.
She does. And they're like, have a great day.
Yeah. So now we have a power of attorney so that my sister can keep me in the hospital longer. Because if I'm psychotic, I need to be in there for a while.
Right.
No, and you can come off like she can come off as fully coherent. If you don't know her, you would know that she's spiraling.
Yep.
We're good talkers, Darla. We're good talkers.
We're good talkers. Yep.
We can talk a good game. Safety. So everybody is protected. And again, getting the treatment, there's no shame in getting the treatment. It's the only way to get better. It is possible to feel better. It is possible to heal. Recovery is possible, but you have to go through the treatment, and then you have to resign to the daily practice of doing the work. And there is no shame in it. We're just built a little bit differently. That's how I look at it. And so we show up differently in the world, so we have to operate differently in the world. I love the fact that you actually have your diagnosis tattooed.
It'd be a good idea for you.
I was thinking that'd
be a good idea.
Yeah,
it is. It's right here. I mean, my medical alert bracelet.
There's just in two instances where it needed to be a direct, like, this is what's going on. There doesn't need to be any questions about it. We need to go ahead and move forward in a different safe space than what most people would normally do.
Yeah. Oh, we can't hear you.
Oh, now I can.
Oh, there you go.
There you go. There you go. Barbara says, this is so amazing. I'm thankful people are finally speaking up. Woo, woo, a little bit. Sending lots of love to you all. My sister suffers with mental health, and she absolutely refuses to acknowledge it. She has caused a lot of damage within my family. Y'all are beautiful. Lisa says, have the conversation. It will be so worth it. And it's opening space for Daphne to actually start talking to her own daughter. So, that's one for you. Oh, Daphne, I just got chills on that. I feel like that's going to be so powerful for you. And ladies, you're right. You brought up a good point. Actually articulating and talking about this deepens our bond. You know, if we stuffed it down, if we repressed it, if it became the elephant in the room, we would not be as close as we are. We just simply wouldn't be, right?
That's right. And two, you know, Barbara's talking about her sister that refuses to acknowledge and get help and damages the family. I did that too. And it's possible to recover from that. It's possible to get help, even if, you know, at times the refusal is there.
Right.
And
it does get better.
It does, yeah. And you have to take care of yourself ultimately.
Yes.
Somebody was on here and said,
not okay.
yeah, somebody said was struggling to trying to help myself and
not having the space to help the girls. Okay.
we have to take care of ourselves first.
Yeah.
We're not taught that. We're taught to sacrifice to the point of exhaustion, especially as women, I think. And the first question that I always ask is, you know, what do I need in this time and space right now? So I can then go care for the people that are in my life. We want to be pouring from an overflowing cup, right?
Yeah. Because if you think about it, the only time we are taught that is on an airplane when it's crashing.
Yeah.
That's very good.
That's the only time that we are taught to be selfless first. And if you think about it from that aspect, it is very true. You cannot help anyone else if you're not okay. And it's okay to say you're not okay. There's been many times where I was not okay.
Yep.
That's fine to say.
My family would have to take turns helping to manage me. because one would get burnt out, their own mental health was suffering, so someone else would step in, and people had to take turns because, you know, my first psychosis lasted over a year. Yeah.
Long year, huh? That's a long year of
It's a
hell.
whole book.
3.
Turned into 3. One book turned into 3.
Yeah,
Darla,
one
do
book
me
turned
a
into
favor.
3.
Put the name of your book in comments. I've got a friend blowing up my phone because I wasn't able to, but I put the name of the book in the
I'll
comments.
definitely read it.
Yes.
That's something I'd be interested in.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's not letting us write in the regular comments, only in the private chat.
Yeah.
Oh, that's weird. Okay.
What's the name of your book?
So my book is called From Psychotherapist to Psychotic.
I love the title.
Ooh. How you spell psychotherapist?
Psycho here. That's not how you spell
That's
it.
fine.
Okay. Yeah, we will post that, Darla. We will post that. We will all be eager. About when is that going to be released?
Well, hopefully, you know, I don't know the exact length of time it's going to take after the editing process, but I would love to get it to my editor in the next month or 2.
Oh my God, that's exciting!
Yes, yes.
Oh,
I've been working on 3
congratulations.
of them for 2.5 years now.
Wow, congratulations.
I would love to read it.
Yes.
Oh, I
We
would
will.
love for you to read it, Charlie. I will give you a signed book.
Yes, please. I
Yes.
would love that.
Signed copy. I love it. All right, Facebook user says, Danny, I noticed you work with crystals. Are there any you recommend for mental illness? Actually, yes, there are some I work with daily. I work with lepidolite for emotional balance. Lepidolite is a beautiful purple stone that people used to in ancient times actually rub on themselves to get the mica out of it. And it includes lithium, which is used to make the drug lithium. It's actually made out of crystallized
The good stuff.
lepidolite. So
Yes.
for emotional balance, hypersine for PTSD, bloodstone for any physical pain. I work with a lot of master healers. I work with sudolite. I work with eudiolite. I work with blue kyanite for balance. I work with Tibetan quartz.
Red tiger's eye opens up your chakras.
Red-
Allow the energy to flow.
I've never been real fun with tiger's eye. Don't
Red
know.
tiger's eye.
Okay, well,
It's
I
prettier.
have a red tiger's eye bracelet.
It's prettier.
Okay, well, I will start wearing my red tiger's eye bracelet.
Here,
Darla,
here.
what about you? What are some of your faves to work with? Your favorite crystals?
Oh, you know, I just got a really beautiful wand gifted to me from my sister, and it has aura sapphire, amethyst, and it's double terminated.
Oh, it sounds
It's-
gorgeous.
It's so gorgeous, and I'm
I
really
want to see this whenever this is all. You gotta send a picture.
Oh, I'm gonna send a picture. You're gonna love this. Oh, this wand is gorgeous. So I'm currently I'm learning to work with the energy of that wand in particular. Some of my favorites have been lapis lazuli to help with my throat chakra, so that I can speak clearly and without shame and speak
that's
my truth.
feeling.
Yeah, it's definitely helps me speak my truth. I have for grounding, I have African jasper.
Oh,
And
you like
yes,
Jasper?
I like Jasper a lot.
yes. So this is like the reds and the yellows, and I really like that one. And then the moldavite.
Oh, I'm moldavite right now.
You got a moldavite.
Look at that.
Moldavite for me feels like an absorption. So it absorbs the negativity and helps me feel grounded and refocused.
Darla, I love the fact that you're bringing up grounding. Grounding is such an important part of my daily practice.
All day, every day.
Yes, every day. I get outside with my feet in the ground, like on.
Yes.
Doing the same. It helps.
Oh, yeah.
Is it helping?
It's so good. Dirt, grass, rock.
It all has energy.
Yes.
It does.
And you absorb that and take it into you, and it helps.
And it's pure energy. It's not tainted energy. It doesn't have a different undertone to it that you're not familiar with. It's pure energy.
Mother Earth, natural.
Go and
That's
connect
right.
to something real.
Yeah, grounding is super important. I have my grounding mala, and I can feel it. Darla, can't you feel it when you're not grounded?
Absolutely. I have to be grounded because I can feel things so instantly. You know, my mania kind of teeters on the verge all the time. So I have to really focus on keeping that on the left side and not the right side of the teeter-totter.
Yeah, we want to be on the correct side of the teeter-totter. Daphne says I'm going to get naked and take a mud bath one day. I say that sounds fun.
That's a vibe.
Yes, we'll
Yes.
a group naked mud bath together. That's a whole other show. Oh my god. Okay.
I bet you get views in.
No, we're not going that route.
But being naked is such a healing place to be too.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, ladies. I kind of feel like we're kind of wrapping up.
Yeah.
Do you have any last minute pointers for people? Any last minute tools, skills, resources, ideas for people? Any last stuff that and again, our main priority today was just to have a conversation, to normalize our experience. You know, Darla and I showed up in this world a little bit differently than some other people did, on a different level, and we have to work differently. And what that means is the people around us that love us have to work differently too. Do you guys have any? Let's see. Just keep doing what y'all are doing. Open up a conversation for everyone. Thank you so much. Oh, you guys, does anyone have any questions? We've got about 20 people on here with us. Does anyone have any questions for us? For any one of us, let me know. Daphne, do you have any questions? Lisa Schneider, do you have any questions? Let me see. What do you feel? Your support structure. I think we covered everything.
One thing I saw was that someone had asked if hormones play a role in the brain and mental illness, and absolutely, that can have that I've met people who have had psychotic breaks after having children, going
Even
through
your
menopause.
periods will do it.
Your period, sure, absolutely. So yes, hormones can play a role.
Well, and Darla, you bring up in my daily practice when I'm rounding up to my monthly cycle, I have to prepare for that because I feel it. I start getting a little edgier. Mania starts like creeping.
Oh yes.
Yeah, I get a little testy. We call it the red zone. In the red zone, nothing gets done. It's like that's it.
Yeah.
Red zone means all conversation
tiptoe
ends.
into the next couple days.
Nothing's done, and we're gonna readdress this in 2 to 3 days. That's the red zone rule. So guys,
that's right.
use skills like that to incorporate. But we created that through communicating with each other. Guys, this is not some dirty, dark little secret that we don't need to be having conversations about.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. These are our experiences of the world. What does Daphne say? When you girls do it again, we'll let you know ahead of time so I can have mine with me too. Oh, Daphne, that would be great. That would be great. All right, my friends, any last minute advice or words of wisdom for our viewers?
Well, I would say if it's the conversation that you're wanting and needing, and you just want to be able to speak to some people and get more information, there's lots of Facebook groups. You know, she has one. I believe you have one. You know, get on there and just post
Don't be
something.
afraid to talk about it.
Yeah. Just even if it's just, this is new for me, and that's your new post. Let people, open the doors to come in, because they'll willingly come in and help. So if that's just what you're needing and you're just needing a space, there's lots of spaces. So feel free to join those and talk. And we're here. We're here for the long haul of the conversation.
We are. And when we get done, we're going to post Darla's group for you. We're going to post Wounded Healer training for you. So her group is
Get connected.
From Chaos to Clarity. It's a wonderful mental health forum, and their focus is specifically mental health. Wounded Healer training is a little bit bigger of an umbrella. So if you're wanting to focus specifically on mental health, jump into Darla's group, jump into Wounded Healer training, where we really work on enhancing our spiritual gifts. Friends, if you're struggling, reach out. Help
There are outlets.
is available.
Yes.
Help is available. And Daphne says the narcissism in society is going over the edge, but it's like struggling being a single parent. And it was tough being a single parent and going through this too. It was tough being a single parent and going through this. And of course, Charlie,
No doubt.
yeah, chronic depression.
I was there. You weren't a single parent. Don't even.
Oh, baby
Don't
girl.
even.
Oh,
I love
you were
her.
there. You
Oh my
were
gosh,
there.
I
She
love
was
her.
so funny the other day. She's like, "Mom, you have mental illness. This is gonna happen."
What did you expect?
I was like, "Oh, okay, you're right."
Oh yes, I do remember.
I forgot about that for 2.5 years. Oh goodness.
Wait.
The tricks the brain will pay. The trick play on yourself. All right. Yes, friends, that would be my last minute advice to you. If you're feeling stuck, if you're struggling, reach out. Help is available. You can manifest that support structure, and it starts with one safe space. And let me tell you something. If you find one and it doesn't feel safe and it doesn't fit you, keep trying, because
Yeah.
they're out there. Not every space is going to be created to hold you, and that's okay. Find ones that will, and when they're a fit,
You'll know.
man, you're gonna know.
Instantly.
Be the first one you find.
You'll
either.
feel this flood of love and acceptance. You will instantly know when you found your right spot.
And check out local free support groups. You know, those are always a good way for families to connect with each other and get support from each other. Yeah.
Guys, well, Charlie's ready to jump in the hammock. Charlie, do you have any last minute advice?
Not particularly.
All right. Well,
Go climb in that hammock. We love you, Charlie.
I'm gonna be
Good to see everybody.
all right, you guys, this has been fun. We need to go for coffee. We all need to go on
Yes.
a coffee date.
Yes.
So
Yes.
you guys need to get your patooties down here to Georgia, and let's
Georgia.
That's a quick drive down the road. That's just a
Well,
quick
hey.
little drive down the road from Dallas, darling.
coffee date.
Road trip. Let's
Okay.
do it.
What's your road trip? We'll
Road
come see
trip.
you
Let's
guys.
do it.
Yes.
To Texas. All right, Lisa Schneider says yes. Keep searching until you find a place where you feel safe to share.
Yes.
All right,
Yes.
friends, thank you so
All
much
right.
for joining us today. Darla and Alyssa, you guys, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been such a pleasure. We understand what you guys have gone through and the strength that it takes and the endurance that it takes and the stamina. And I so appreciate your tenacity. You know what you guys didn't do? You didn't give up either. And
We
there
did
has
pick
to
up
be a
and
lot of
neither
that.
did you.
Yeah, we kept going, you know?
We did.
Some days you just gotta end the day at 8 and 9 o'clock and start over the next day. But I guarantee you the next day is gonna be a little bit different, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And thank you, Danny, for having us and having such a beautiful platform to communicate to the world what we're trying to destigmatize. And that is mental health, mental illness. We're doing it. We're doing it together, and we're going to keep doing it.
All right, you guys. Peace. Much love. We will chat soon. Thank you, Lisa Schneider. Thank you, Daphne, for being so engaged. Thank you, everybody else who decided to
Thank you.
Love you guys. And if you have any questions, post in comments after here, and we will stay active. And we are here to support you guys. So if you are struggling or you know somebody who is struggling and you're ready to start the conversation and you're not sure where to start, reach out to us. All right, we are available to help with tools, tips, skills, and resources. You guys. All right, you guys have a good day. This has been so much fun. We enjoyed
Have a good day. Thank you, Danny. Bye, Charlie.